Well, a decision by Attorney General Keith Ellison is already elevating the supercharged election issue of abortion. Ellison is not appealing a ruling earlier this month that threw out all restrictions on abortions here. Those restrictions have been in place for years. The result of the Attorney General's decision means no 24-hour waiting period, no parental consent for minors, no requirement that a doctor perform abortions. And the Attorney General is kind enough to join us right now. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, good to be here. Thank you.
Let's talk about this ruling. You're not going to appeal this decision. Was it, a lot of people are going to wonder, well, of course he's not going to appeal the decision because we all know that Keith Ellison is strongly in support of abortion rights.
Well, those folks would be incorrect. My reasoning was strictly legal. We defended these statutes for 3 solid years, filed motions to dismiss. We did a lot of very hard work, over 4,000 hours. In fact, it cost us about $600,000 in terms of salary for the people who worked on the case. After Judge Gilligan made his decision, it was about 140 pages. It was a very carefully written decision. We concluded, after taking 2 weeks to think about it, that it would not benefit the people of the state for us to appeal because, one, we would have a very low likelihood of success, and it would be expensive to do. And just to remind everybody, we don't appeal every single case. When the sentence of Kim Potter came down, we did not appeal that. People asked us to. We thought it would not be successful. We didn't do it. When in other cases as well. So it is one of the things that the Attorney General has to do, make a decision as to our likelihood of a success versus the expense. And we concluded that an appeal in this case was not the right thing.
How big of an issue is abortion going to be in the general election in November? You don't have a primary opponent, but with Doug Wardlow, one of your possible opponents, claims of waging war on abortion rights, and then your decision not to appeal, which is controversial for many people.
Sure.
I mean, is this the issue that people are going to go to vote on?
It will be an important issue, but look, I've actually been in favor of the right to get a safe legal abortion for many years, and my decision here is legal in nature, not political. Switching to the political side, yeah, I'm going to defend a woman's right to choose, absolutely. I have as a state legislator, I will in the position I'm in now, but what I will always do is be faithful to my job, which is to defend statutes of the state of Minnesota, which I did for 3 years.
One thing that didn't get a lot of attention this week, there were 2 major settlements with opioid companies, Ellision and Teva. Will we see money, and these were nationwide settlements with a number of attorneys general, will we see money from that to help with opioid abuse here in Minnesota? Deaths are up 21% in the last year.
Well, let me just tell you, Esme, we have seen devastation, even on my own staff. I won't betray the trust of colleagues, but I have had colleagues who've had in two separate families, teenagers OD and lose their lives because of opioid and laced with fentanyl. So we take this very seriously. 5,000 Minnesotans, more than that, in the last 10 years have died because of this. So we are aggressively going after these companies that marketed this product, lied about how addictive it was. So the more recent decisions, we may be working out the details with those for the next few weeks. But the legislature did approve of a distribution plan for more recent settlements that we were able to win, and with the Johnson & Johnson and others, which is over $300 million, we should be seeing that money flow to Minnesota communities, which will go to where the pain is. It's not going to be concentrated in the metro. We made sure that only 25% was to the state, the rest of it was to the counties, 75%, and we made sure that that was important.
Okay. Both of your potential opponents are fighting each other in the Republican primary. Both are claiming that you are a supporter of defunding the police. What do you say to that?
I say it's untrue. Look, I'm on record. I wrote 2 op-eds in the Star Tribune, both before and after.
But you did support the charter amendment.
I did. Yes.
Yes.
To be clear,
replace the Minneapolis Police Department with a Department of Public Safety.
Yeah, to replace it with something better that would be more effective at policing and guaranteeing safety. But we thought that, well, look, what we need is, yes, police, absolutely, but we also need to work in mental health responses, violence prevention, a number of things that could prevent crime and actually prosecute crime as well. I believe now, and I've always believed, that we need better reform, more reform, police reform in this city of Minneapolis. Take city of St. Paul. They clear 90% of their homicides. Minneapolis is lower than 40. We need to build trust so that neighbors will call and work with police department so that we can solve crimes and protect victims. So yes, I have been for reform. I have been against defund the police. In fact, I think we need more resources to keep people safe.
And actually, it's interesting because Mayor of Minneapolis has actually created a Department of Public Safety, even though this amendment went down.
Yeah,
well, listen,
he's wise to do so.
Yes, thank you so much for coming in. We certainly appreciate your time. Always a pleasure. Keith Ellison, the Attorney General.
Thank you, Esme.